Real quick before we get started, today, June 6th of 2023, I'm doing my own Ultimate Cup format tournament. It's going to be webcam. It's going to be with a win-a-box prize. I'm going to have Yoshi doing the commentary with me. So for more information, check out the link in the description, and I hope to see you guys there. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 8 breakdown for the June 5th Gaia Force Gaming Weekly that was hosted online with the new Ultimate Cup format as well. And real quick before we get started, one, shouts to Gaia Force Gaming and specifically Tyler for running these events, but also for letting me do the stream for it this week as well. The VOD is still on my Twitch and it will be re-uploaded to my YouTube within the next week or so. So you guys can have some Ultimate Cup format gameplay to watch and just kind of see that from there. So again, appreciate him letting me do this, and we also do have all the deck lists are here on my website, Eggman Events, which also has all of the Ultimate Cup format events that have been happening and will happen for the rest of this month too. So highly recommend checking it out as a resource for this game as well. And let's just jump on into this top 8 breakdown. So 25 players, so not something super huge. Local wise, I'd say it's a larger local, which is really nice, especially online. And we do have this top 8 cut of Ulforce, Blue Hybrid, Beelzemon with 3 of them, Bloomlord, as well as Machinedramon and Yellow Hybrid. So pretty good variety in that way too. You know, if you look at the top 4, which generically I would do for a 25 player tournament, you know, Ulforce, Blue Hybrid, and Beelzemon kind of seeing it there. And Beelzemon did get, you know, obviously a hit on the restriction list with the EX2 Impmon and just kind of everything. But I still think it's a solid deck, especially since it is monocolor, so it's not really restricted by this format. And then just kind of a bunch of other decks just trying to vie for space for this. So we're going to go over the top placing list for each archetype, starting off with our first place list, which is Luis's Ulforce. And this is a bit of an interesting build. I have been going over some of the events that went on around the world for the Ultimate Cup format this past weekend, including Oceania and Latin America, which are, again, still on this channel. But they were using kind of like the Dracmon, the Dracomon lower end, with also like the Babydomon as your eggs. And maybe my kind of conjecture for that was just more searching off of your rookies, but also being able to use it to you know, boost up your all forces so you don't get hit by Machinedramon. So I think that kind of has some viability around it, but it looks like the idea for that was used with the Rena. So you know, is the kind of the original tamer. I don't like this as much as the new one and some other ones, but just for free you get to give something plus 1k, and then also reveal the top 3 from your deck on play, get to add a V, so any of your V cards from there, which is really nice. Dracomon would only be able to find like anything outside of the actual V. And then you compare it to like the Tai V-Tamer 2. I still kind of like this one more, even though you don't get like the draw beforehand. The fact that you do get either a draw or the plus 1k, so you can use these 2 times and get, you know, just a larger body there. So I think that's something that's viable. Again, most of the Machinedramons are like 13k outright, which means if you can bump it up to a 14k, you can get around it some way. So like two 1k boosts can really help you on that one there. But other than that, kind of like the more generic like cards in there, being able to use Kumamon also to trash sources can sometimes come with Machinedramon and other matchups that we see. And then 4 of the Ulforce and 2 of the Ulforce X antibodies. So I think this deck is solid. I think it's probably one of the more straightforward decks out of this format, and I think it's also just better in this format too, which is nice. So congratulations to Luis on their finish there. Next up we have Chazz with their second place Blue Hybrid list, and this was a bit of a weirder one. We've seen Blue Hybrid before, and you know, it got nerfed almost like a year ago at this point, but I do think there are a couple new pieces that when I saw them play, just looked really cool and had some good synergies for it. So first kind of card I want to talk about is the Randomon or Landamon. Being able to use this for putting a card underneath one of your cards, including itself, means that you can add something like a Strabimon that gets to play Koji from deletion, or also just Strabimon that just lets you gain a memory when you attack with a hybrid, which is really great. So I think, you know, putting either one of those underneath your Landamon can get you some additional memory, or just like we're also playing the Koji. We're not playing the the Magna Garurumon, but it does have a really good inheritable effect too. So your turn, once per turn, when an effect adds a card to your hand, you get to gain 1 memory. Then this Digimon can't be blocked for the turn. So this additionally gets the additional memory. And so if you can get this out, and you can put this underneath it with Lana, and then you can also have like this Strabimon, which can play the Koji again when it gets deleted. So you get that recycle. I think that's very strong. Obviously, we do have like just a lot of blue hybrids and potential for us too. So Kendo Garurumon was the other choice for it. And no Korikaku, none of like the original stalling effects either, which I think is really interesting. You're just kind of going on the idea that you can be very aggressive. So if this Digivolves on top of a hybrid, or Koji gets jamming too. So just no stun, just more aggression based, and I think is an interesting build too. And then the top end here is Mirage Galgamon, which has been, I really like this card. Honestly, I don't really like the rest of the archetype, but this one's really neat, being able to use it to get some removal, but it can also burn your opponent, and then also can kind of make it some weird scenarios where your opponent has to like lose memory on their turn, and which can help it keep your turn. So I think that's great. And then also the Mimi Tachikawa and Joe Kido. I think this one's an interesting one. So it's the you need to get in memory if you have something suspended, and one if your opponent has something suspended. And then your turn, when one of your green or blue Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle and survives, you may suspend this to draw a card. So it does kind of get some card draw. I don't think the blue-green really matters for that much. I am a little bit surprised that there's not a Tommy, even though we're not playing like Korikaku or the original thing. I think that one of Tommy can help you a lot too, in just some scenarios where if you do want some source destruction, I think it'd be a one of I would add for this one. But then also you have Jerry for Leomon. But that's kind of this list. I think this is an interesting build for Blue Hybrid too, and I got to test this one out myself. But congratulations to Chazz for their finish there. Next up, we have Sergiy with their third place Beelzemon, and he obviously has been playing a lot of this deck over the last couple of weeks. We do have some flexible room in this deck too, especially since, again, the EX2 Impmon is at 1 copy for this format, so you do have to try some new tools, and some kind of changes I've seen in this one are kind of just adding the Beelstar. This isn't always like a card you add here, and then also just to replace the Impmon, we're just playing 4 of the BT2 one. Since it can also accelerate trashing, you just have to get it. It's a little bit slower since it has to be deleted on board, obviously, but it can help you get some early mill potential there too. And then also just the idea of like 7-fold cluster, missed memory boost, which I've seen him play off and on for a little bit. And then also using Pagumon as the egg. So obviously on deletion, it does trash from there, which means that you can, Digivolve into Impmon, you can push it up, and then if it survives, I don't know, like it's an interesting choice for this one too. It just means like you're not like having to attack, and then if like you're going into like, you really want to like Digivolve in the battle area for a lot of time, because like Wizardmon gets their effects and Balmon, and so getting like, sometimes you just don't want to attack, so you can keep going up your chain, but then if you do so, like Pagumon can help you get that. So I think Yamon and Pagumon, a lot of people are going back and forth on it. I think both are good, and he just decided to use this one for this one. So anyways, congratulations to Sergiy for their third place finish there. And then next up we have Eddie with their 5th place Bloomlord. I think Bloomlord was obviously very strong in the BT11 version of the Ultimate Cup. I'll say for the BT12 one, it's not as consistently powerful, but I still think the deck is very good in a lot of ways. Specifically, Cortesmon I think is a good card for like ending the game and having like some good matchups because of just this card just existing, and some cards or some decks just don't inherently have an out for it or have very few outs to it, which is really strong. And then also, obviously, like Blasso is at 1. And, some people, I'm surprised only seeing 5 level 6s. I know some people have been trying some like Lotusmon or some other like of the Shivamon as well. I know Tyler's been telling me he's been trying that one. So I think either could be working, but no, only 5 level 6s seems like a little bit short, but I guess I understand it. And obviously another Digisorption for 3. This is normally a 4-cost evolution, but also when Digivolving, if you have 2 or more suspended Digimon in play, you get to unsuspend this. So it can come up a little bit too, being able to, you do only have 1 copy of Blasso right now too, so there's something, just another card for your stack on that one. But that is their list. Congratulations to Eddie for their finish there. Next up we have Nick with their 7th place Machinedramon, and Machinedramon is in my book like one of the best decks in this format. At least it's always very scary, and it feels like sometimes they can set up and they can just win. And my only issue with this deck is that I think it sometimes has a hard time winning 2 games in 45 minutes. I think it will be ahead, but if like one of your games you brick, that means that you still have to go like 2-1 most of the time, and that's sometimes just very difficult for this deck in a lot of ways. So I think it's the only thing you have to be a little bit careful for. I do think it does have like one of the best like control aspects in this game. The fact that Chaos X exists is just very mean. And I was kind of memeing on stream that, oh, you could be playing Ragnarlord, but they definitely are. I promise I didn't see the list beforehand. I thought it was really funny that they just, I pretty much like as soon as I mentioned it, like a couple turns later, they dropped it and won with it. But it does make sense from this. We did see this in the War Gray build in Oceania as well, as just kind of like an alternate win condition. I think it's a bit it's asking a lot to play this card though, because you're already playing so many of these big level 6s in the deck too that are hard to interact with. But in general, it is a neat little win condition if you don't really have another way to get there. So anyways, this is the list here, and congratulations to Nick for their 7th place finish. And to wrap it up, we have Jonathan Cortes with their 8th place yellow hybrid. And this deck honestly looks like a lot of fun to me. I need to test it out a little bit myself, but I've always been a fan of yellow hybrid, and the fact that this has a lot of defense early game, but also can just push for the win if needed to, but just having a lot of tamers, having a lot of memory, and being able to just pay 2 to keep sending them in and going for it. So I think that's something that is kind of good in this format. It can get around Machinedramon sometimes. It can also outlast Beelzemon X, and then just because of that, they just kind of mill themselves out at times, and can have some good matchups and good interaction too. So I think this deck is great. It does have some recovery off of like Jet Sylphie and also fall down mode. I think some decks, like the extra turn that Venusmon gives you at times, I think is great and can stun some decks for an extra turn, which means most of the time, like when you get an extra turn in this deck, you get to just have like a lopsided amount of memory, right? So you have so many of these tamers set up, and then because of that, you get to get all your memory back. So you pass your opponent 2, and then you get to start at 7 again. So that's like a lot of extra memory for you to use and abuse for that. And I don't think tamer destruction is as important. It is a little bit with like, I think Machinedramon is like the most common example for it right now, but it doesn't really hit, that only hits like the Zoe and the Cody. Everything else is a 4-cost tamer, which is a little bit harder for that deck to interact with. It can be, but a little bit trickier. And Black War Gray and Hades Force is not as present in this format too, which is, I think, a good thing for tamer-based decks, but also Hunters and Crossheart, as other tamer based decks just can't exist based on the color restriction there. So anyways, that is the top 8 for us here. And thank you again to Gaia Force Gaming for hosting the event and letting me do the stream for it. I had a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the next one. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out Eggman events for these lists and others for the Ultimate Cup format. And that's going to be it for us. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.